Okay, this is Michael Oakes, just doing my demonstration for the ACW for real-time graphics 700106 and C++ programming module 700120. So I've got my application running here on my laptop. So first of all, I'm just going to go through the controls, the standard controls that are required. So using the arrow keys, we can actually rotate upwards, rotate downwards, rotate to the left, rotate to the right, and we can also use control and page down to actually pan down, and control and page up to actually page up, and to pan up. And then we can actually move forward using control and forward arrow key, and backwards with back arrow key, and left with the left arrow key. We'll rotate around, and then we can actually go right with the right arrow key, and you can see the scene from all different angles. Other keys that we have that I have in place are escape to quit the application, which I won't show until the end, R to reset, which as you see I've just pressed reset, and I'll press it again and it sets us back in front of the box looking straight in. We have F1 and F2 to change the perspective between two cameras, one at the top above the box and one in front. You're looking at the one in front at the moment. If I press F2, you'll see that we're looking at a top-down view. Again, like the other camera, we can move left, right, exactly the same controls. And if I just move down into the box, go through that sphere, if I now press F1 and then F2 again, you'll see that it actually keeps its position from where you left it when you switched cameras. So I'll reset just to go back to a standard view. Next, I'm going to demonstrate that we can have a randomizing of the available objects in the scene. So if I quickly press F5, we'll see that these randomly change between different objects. I actually have one shader that I've designed that completely hides the ball. That was an early transparency shader that I've left in. As you can see, I have a transparency shader down there on the bottom left. You probably see in the scene at the moment as well, we have a Gourand shader and a Phong shader, the Gourand being coded in the vertex. I'll press F5 again, and this is sort of interesting. On the left and in the middle there, you'll see that we actually have two texture mappings appearing. I actually have two different texture mapping shaders in there, and we also have a bump mapping shader. You can actually see the lines on the sphere as it travels around the scene. If I press F5 again, I'm looking for a particular shader, which I think is this one here that's just coming through on the sphere now. That is my Toon shader that is basically written to pull the colours into one of 4 different bands of colours. So you'll actually see, instead of actually having blending through the colours, there's a very distinct change between the colours. It jumps between one band and another, so it doesn't gradually merge into each other. It's actually a big jump of a change. The only other shader that I've developed, so I've gone through the transparency, the Gourand, the Phong, the texture mapping, which you can see on the ball in this scene, the bump mapping. I've shown the transparency shader, I've shown the Toon shader. I did attempt to do shadows, and I wrote a shadow shader, and I tried a couple of different calculations, but my shadows actually seem to be a little bit off. So if I actually look up, you'll see that my shadows are sort of in the scene. So there's something wrong with how I've put this together. In the scene at a different place, I've tried to maneuver them to get them on the floor, and it hasn't worked. So you'll see one of my shadows is actually above the box, but if I actually look up, you'll actually see that there's another shadow plane here. You can even make out the impression of the shadow of the box, so it looks like it's putting them both on the same place, and unfortunately that's not quite working. I've gone through a lot of the implementation, so I'd be grateful if you take a look at it, but that's where I've got to with the shadows. So going back, all of this is currently running with a config file, so you can actually change the rotation of the light and the sphere. The rotating sphere actually rotates at the same rotation as the light when you actually go into the rotation screen. So if I show you the different lighting methods now, if I press F6, this is actually with the rotating light. You can actually see the light, the reflection of the light moving around in the scene. And also if you watch things like the box and if you watch the sphere, you'll see that at different times, like now it's very well lit up, at different times the shadow goes back over it. You'll now see a shadow going back over the box. So that is the moving light. I then press F6 again. This is my spotlight. Looks a little bit oversaturated. You will notice that as the sphere travels round into different areas and it catches different spotlights, the effects change, and you can actually see the spotlight reflections in the walls there because they've got a high specular value. Just to give you a little idea of what some of the other shaders look like in the spotlight, there's a transparency ball travelling round, there's a Toon shader on the cube, transparency ball now on the left, here's a text mapping on the sphere, text mapping again on the sphere, and Toon shading on the sphere. I'm just trying to get the bump mapping to come up, but of course it's random, so there's the invisible shader. So going further on from this, we actually have the ability to speed up and slow down the animations that are in the scene. So at the moment, if I press T, unfortunately it has a bit of a jump, but if I press T and hold it down, you now see that that is actually going very, very slowly. That's some lowercase t. If I put the caps lock on and go with uppercase T and hold it down, you'll actually see it's got faster. Now it's going faster. I can hold it down and it's traveling even faster. So that's the functionality with the uppercase T and the lowercase t. And that pretty much concludes my demonstration. I'll finish this demonstration by pressing the escape key so you actually see it quit the program. Thank you very much.